talk about this stuff, and I just want to go through and refresh our minds, and then as we finalize our summer program, and obviously a lot of people across the country are doing the same thing. So hopefully some coaches can watch this as well. I think it's a good time of the year to kind of not necessarily super detailed, but generally talk. So more or less what I want to talk about is I want to talk about, obviously when we map out our program, we map out a year in advance. So we always program from August to the following August is how I program. Your first phase, your in-season phase, we're trying to maintain strength the best we can through our in-season lifting program, which is very difficult. Our realistic expectation, our goal, kind of we set every year is if we can hit 90% of our maxes that we had in the summertime at the end of the season, we did a pretty good job. That's kind of my realistic goal now. You'll hear some hard-ass strength coaches say that their guys get stronger in season and they don't lose strength, and you shouldn't lose strength. And I just really would like to just see whoever says that, or just wonder what the hell they did when they played college football, because I just know realistically my body, and Vice, you played college football, and TJ, you played college football. I mean, it's just to me, it's just not realistic. I don't know. Maybe I'm missing the boat on something, but the peak for how you feel at the end of summer, you feel absolutely elite and incredible. I just don't know how any coach, if they are, hats off to them, could do that. Vice, what do you think?
What's that? No, bodies beat the shit really, and the last thing you want to do is squat 500 plus pounds like was your max in the summertime. So just if you can get, like you said, 90% of that, I think it's pretty damn good.
Yeah. So anyways, long story short, in-season programming, which we're all very familiar with, we talk about. Our goal here at Akron is we literally try to take their 90% mark, and that's kind of how we judge ourselves every year. So and we did it this year. Harris, which you run all the numbers, so you see it. I don't know if all you guys saw it or not, but we were able to do that. I think we had every athlete on our team be able to hit 90% of their 1RM on bench, squat, clean. So we were in a very, very good place with in-season strength. But so our main emphasis in-season program, maintain sports specific biomotor patterns, biomotor abilities. Obviously dissipate fatigue and get really good at doing that. Preserve techniques so that in the off season we don't have to reset everything, and then maintain strength to the best of our ability. We kind of go through that. You get into winter off season programming, and winter off season programming seems to be, for me at least, it's always a lot easier. You're further removed from football, so we don't have to worry about getting guys specifically ready to play the game of football. It's when you'll do a little bit more mental toughness stuff. It's when you'll instill those kind of things. But at the end of the day, to be as general and meathead as I can possibly talk about, our main goal in the wintertime is what, Harris? Get them as strong as we can, right? We want to build a great base of strength. We want to. If you're thinking about building a house, we want to solidify the foundation in the wintertime. So we want to get our athletes as strong as we possibly can get them. In that those winter months, you have to. Part of it's you're getting them healthy back from the season. Yes, you're correcting muscular imbalances. Yes, you're getting them through mat drills. But number one, if I can be as general as possible, our number one main emphasis there is strength. And we can manipulate. We can write a program that's specifically tailored to that. That we can get really freaking strong doing. So that's kind of that. And then we shift into spring ball. Okay, spring ball and post spring ball is kind of what I consider a transitionary piece. So we're going to start taking all that strength and start working towards our transition of summertime. And now summer is in my opinion, it is the most difficult time of the year to program. It is when you have to be the most conscious and you really have to be intelligent of what you're doing. So Green, just kind of talk me through why do you think I say that I believe summertime is the hardest from a standpoint of actually programming?
Because of the different variables that we're training for within our sport and how our coaches kind of run practice. We want to make sure our guys are, ready for camp, and then go into being able to be ready for the season as well. So we have to kind of take in consideration and slowly divvy up our volumes within our running and kind of correlate our running to what we do in the weight room, to how we condition, whether it be we're talking about our anaerobic alactic or our lactic systems and what we're doing on the field, and also just not just think of it that way, but also the responsibilities of our staff as well.
Yeah, so I mean, at the end of the day, your summertime program, you have the most going on at once. You have the most, I mean, you have to get your guys ready to play football, you know, and perform in football. There's no games in the spring, you know, so guys can be a little sore, they can be a little banged up, and you can slow cook it a little more. In the summertime, they have to be ready to play football. So, you know, we don't have to condition in the wintertime. We don't need to get ready to play games on Saturdays. Summertime, you throw that whole other a completely new stimulus, and I think a lot of times the mistakes that I see is it's just thrown on top of whatever their winter program was, and you see a program that is the winter program just with conditioning on top of it. Well, the winter program was tough enough, right? Now we're going to add conditioning onto that, and what we talk about, you know, here all the time is, you know, we talk about our cup, and I always say coffee cup because that's what we drink a lot of here, okay? But you can only fill it up so high. So if we take a cup, which, you know, we filled up to the top for wintertime, and kind of we're happy with where it was, you start to add conditioning onto that, well, that overflows. And especially in the summertime, you know, we have to work on strength, right? So we pour some in there. We have to work on power output, so we have to work on that. We have to work on our alactic power, our alactic capacity. So all of a sudden you start seeing this stuff fill up, and that coffee cup can overflow very, very quickly. And we see that happen, you know, and you see that happen with different kinds of athletes. So the biggest thing is being extremely strategic with how you're filling up that coffee cup, and it's what we talk about all the time here is our program is our program, but it's constantly changing, right? I mean, it's we have it written out. What do you guys think the chances of us following that program to a TR this summer? It ain't gonna happen. There's gonna be days that our guys come in here, their CNSs are a little more fried than we thought, we'll cut back. There's gonna be days that they come in here and we maybe thought we needed to cut back and we won't because they're feeling great. So we'll go through in order, and I'll tell you this, what I've done every year is in the summertime especially, is since 2014, that was my first summer running the show, okay? Every summer that I've been, you know, this was a summer that our coffee cup was the fullest. It was overflowing. You know, we did too much. And from now, kind of fast forward to my summer of 2018, this will be the lowest our coffee cup's ever been filled up. So we'll do the least this summer we've ever done before. We'll do it the most intelligently, and we'll do it more intensely than we've ever done it before, okay? But I'll tell you this is the trend, and you guys have heard me say this a million times. Since I've taken over, if you look at our program as a whole, each time we take, you know, each off season, what I find is I take a little more and more out. Take a little bit out here, take a little bit out here, increase the intensity there, but drop the volume or whatever it may be. We've done less every off season from 2014 here to 2018, and we've gotten better results every year. So it's something to where it speaks for itself, and so I don't worry about it. But you know, our biggest change this off season is our conditioning, right? We're cutting back one of our conditioning runs every week, so we're going to condition once a week, which we kind of transitioned into last summer, but it's going to be plenty enough, and we know that. So considerations, all right? So let's kind of go through some specific considerations for summer. So I'm talking about things that we need to really take into consideration as we go through the summertime. Harris, can you give me one?
You gotta get them ready for camp.
Okay, so we got to get them ready for camp. Let's discuss that, all right? We've researched. We know our 4 highest volume days of the entire year are which 4 days? The first 4 days of camp. Okay, so the first 4 days of camp, and this is averaged out across the country. Okay, they've taken the GPSs, and more or less what we've found is that for the most part, you know, obviously there's always going to be outliers, but your first 4 days of camp are your highest volume days of the entire year, okay? So are we getting these guys ready for Nebraska? What are we getting them ready for? We're getting them ready for the first 4 days, okay? Because if we're not prepared for this volume here, all right, what's going to happen these first 4 days?
Injuries.
Soft tissue injuries, okay, fatigue, tons of weight loss, pretty much dissipation of all the results that we worked our asses off to get in the summertime, okay? So we need to get prepared for this. Now, in an ideal world and what it will look like in the future, it'll be that, you know, that Charlie Francis quote that I love so much, is just get them to the game fit and let the game do the rest. So imagine if we could just get them to show up here in good shape, they're fit, their fitness levels are good once they get to camp, right? They're insanely strong, insanely powerful, insanely fast. Imagine if we only conditioned the last couple weeks of summer just to really get them fit for camp, and then we let camp get them ready for the football game. Can you guys imagine what that would look like? If we let them playing the sport, doing the scrimmages, doing the fastball stuff, going through practices for 2 hours a day, wouldn't that be a great way to get kids in shape for ready to play football? And I think we're gonna head there eventually. But anyways, we're not there right now. And most schools in the country aren't. And I would say that high schools follow that same pattern, right? I mean, everybody in here played high school football, correct? You didn't play high school football? Well, it is. It's friggin', it's crazy. First 4 days are gonna go nuts, okay? Well, shit, baseball, what were the first 4 days? Yeah, volume. Okay, so that's something we have to take in consideration, is that August 1st, when they report back, we're not just saying, okay, they're ready to rock for camp or for the game. Camp will do its job. No, we have to get them ready for these first 4 days, and make sure we can freaking survive it, right? All right, give me another consideration. Vice, something we gotta consider for summer conditioning. Summer program.
Program?
Yeah.
Position specific stuff.
Okay, so more, let's say more sport specific. Sport position. Okay, so when we talk about winter time, right? We're much more general, right? We're much more general, even in the sense of GPP. Okay, so for winter time, we're gonna live a little bit more here. As we get in the summertime, we're gonna shift more to what? Sport specific movements, right? Position specific movements. Now where do we mainly capture this? Where do we really specify towards our athletes? Our conditioning program, right? So whereas what you would call mat drills here, we call mat drills GPP, and they're pretty general, right? You would call our summer conditioning what?
Specific.
Very specific, right? Bigs are pushing prowlers, skills are running routes, DBs are shadowing routes, linebackers are running through bags, and it's all specific. So all of our conditioning, right? It's literally ticked out to be our same plays, okay? Or our average plays, which is 6 seconds on, 29 seconds off. So as we go through and we start to really get ready for camp, for our season, we're gonna specify the best we can to make sure that their bodies are prepped to do those movements, okay? So another place that we do this is this position specific, or you know what it may be, right? It's kind of how does this progress? So wintertime, we work a ton of this, right? We try to solidify biomechanics, okay, right? We teach them how to cut, we teach them how to decel, we teach them how to excel, and then we get specific in the summertime. What kind of agility do we do? We do all reactive stuff, right? What's my favorite reactive agility drill? 7-on-7, okay? With bigs, 1-on-1s. Those are the best agility drills that you can do for your athletes. Let them start running routes, playing football, and reacting to other human beings, okay? So just like Bice talked about, we shift from being much more general in the wintertime to being much more sport specific in the summertime. So we really want to solidify these patterns, these movement patterns when we're in the wintertime, so that when we get to these 7-on-7s and 1-on-1s and these reactive agilities, tag, capture the towel, whatever it may be, our guys are moving, they're cruising, and they're moving in biomechanic safe fashions, okay? All right, Green, go ahead, give me another thing we have to consider.
we're going through considerations, when we like go to different well, we have the thing where we go to the hill, so we have to know the equipment that we're using.
Yeah, that's kind of a whole nother topic. Let's go with team building. Let's see if anyone can get this one here. What's much more different about my team building philosophy summertime versus wintertime? What is my big thing I'm trying to build in the summertime?
Leadership.
Camaraderie.
Should know this.
Confidence. Right? So in the wintertime, do I mind breaking our team down?
No.
Do I mind them leaving this facility feeling like assholes? Do I mind telling them when they're doing something really messed up? In the summertime, what am I trying to do? I'm trying to not just only bring our team together, but make them think they're the closest, hardest working, brotherhood-based team, best leadership we've ever had, most athletic we've ever had. When we leave those summer months, the last thing I want to do is be still berating us about being undisciplined. So when we talk about team building, once again, if you want to talk about winter consideration to summer consideration, winter considerations are nothing to me. Winter consideration, I want to teach them how to lead, not just say go do it. So we have our leadership development, right? We're going to teach them how to lead in the wintertime. We're going to hold them to an insanely high standard. We're going to break their asses down. We're going to do 100 up downs if someone doesn't clean a locker. We're going to break them down and make them feel it more or less in the wintertime. In the summertime, I'm going to try to strategically avoid those things. I'm going to try to make them think that they've done everything right. I'm going to try to make them be the most confident team that we've ever had. That they leave here, they come into the season, they're insanely confident that what they've done, their preparation is more than any Akron football team has ever done before. Now, it's not like I'm like turning my head and like, ignoring things. If we got to handle things, we do. But the nice thing is by summer, if we've done our job in the wintertime, this comes just naturally, right? They all of a sudden, they're pretty damn good at leading. They're pretty damn good at doing what they need to do. So that works. So going to the hill and that kind of stuff, yes, absolutely, is a very big consideration. Let's see if we can keep rolling here. Coach Dub?
So obviously, like, locations aren't considered. Like, we're not talking about that.
And we're talking about in retrospective programming.
How we're gonna go about getting them as fit as possible.
Yeah. So, I mean, the argument of just conditioning in general, right? And how you want to go about doing that. Now, there's a whole lot of different ways, and this is a big consideration, right? If I want to run my team into the ground, which a lot of coaches do, and they have success doing it. Okay, so if we have very high volume, freaking tongues dragging on the ground conditioning days, what's the nice plus about that? What typically comes with learning how to throw yourself through the freaking mental toughness, right? So it's awesome for that. So you have your decision. You want to go high volume, okay? You're gonna get a high mental toughness response. What else are you gonna get? That's not so hot.
Burned out.
You're gonna get a high CNS fatigue rate, right? Okay. Now, if I make the decision to condition optimally, right? So let's just say we have optimal volume. Do I get a ton of mental toughness training out of that?
No.
Not really. I would just kind of say, just whatever. How's my CNS doing that? Very low CNS. So I don't fill up the cup very much there, right? So I have a lot of room for other things. Now here's my argument and my question. I get this. I absolutely 100% get this. I believe, success in football is here. I really do. I think that plays a much bigger role than a back squat or a power clean or a bench press or a 40-yard dash. But my question is, and what I'm saying is, if we've done our jobs here, right, we don't have to get ready to play football. If we've really instilled culture and we've really done a great job of pushing the envelope in the wintertime, do we still need to really crush them in the summertime, right, and make them leave a workout questioning everything they've done? If I can make them do this, right, this scenario right here. What if I could do that, make them believe that it's the hardest thing they've ever done in their life, so they think it's hard. They think that they're paying the price, they're doing everything to do. It's optimal, it gets them in better actual shape than this does, and we're still mentally tough because we really did our job in the wintertime. How's that sound to everybody? Okay, so, there's no, there's not a wrong way. This is our way. This is what I believe works for us. I've done this, I've seen this done, and I've seen it work. And I know teams that win national championships have done that way before. I know a lot of programs that do that. It's just another way to do it. For me, I don't want to burn our athletes out. We get, like I said, this kind of conditioning, I've seen a ton of injuries. I've never ever seen an injury with optimal, smart, intelligent conditioning, intelligent training. So I think that's a really, really big piece of it, Will, is understanding that. So that's an absolutely massive consideration you have to take into consideration. Coach Jones, what do you got for me?
Timing, so you have your discretionary periods, you have your holidays, and then how far you're out from camp, so you got a program around that.
Yeah, and that's probably a bigger consideration than most. Now, we have that same issue in the wintertime, it's just a little different, right? So everybody has their spring ball stuff they have to work around, is how that works. But you have to decide how you want to do it, The biggest thing that we've seen is, TJ, that you remember when you were an intern in 2014, 15? 15. You were an intern in 2015, you remember what our summer schedule was? How many weeks did we lift?
We started like in the beginning of, in May, sometime in May.
We lifted 9 straight weeks. How many days did I give them off, do you remember?
Just Sunday.
You gave them 2 days off for the 4th of July break. Okay? Now let's fast forward to last year. How many days did we train? How many weeks did we train?
8,
How many days did I get them off for the 4th of July?
the whole week.
10 days off for the 4th of July. Which summer did we get better results? Which summer did we get less injuries? Which summer did we win a East Championship? Which summer did our guys come back 10 times more prepared for the second part of summer? You remember how the second phase of summer went here?
Crushed.
You remember us having to drag them through it, and they just mentally were just ready for a break. Remember all that? So timing is a huge consideration. I think coaches, and to me it comes down to just you're just not confident in your program. But that week off, and we saw more or less people watching, so you guys know this. We'll roll 5 weeks. We'll take a week deload, or what I really like to call reload now, better than deload, and then we'll do a 3-week mini cycle, and then they get a deload, and they start camp. So that's how we work our summer. So those are really your working weeks. Okay, I used to keep them around for this. I realized let them go home. They're kids. They want to go see their families. Okay, so they leave campus there, and they leave campus there, and they come back and they're fine. You come back and we do a little. When they get back from that deload, we do a little flush run, make sure they're still in shape. They weren't too bad while they were gone. Same thing when we get back here for that. So I think timing is a massive consideration. Something else we have to think about with how we want to run that program and what you're going to get most out of it. What else, guys? What else can we think of for consideration we need to take for summertime?
Like taking strength that we build in the first phase and shifting it into power output.
So I'm just going to write this shift. Okay, so this is a really big concept to understand. So the shift is, like I talked about, wintertime, this is awesome. Is this a consideration in the wintertime?
No.
Not really. Now, we have a little shift because we have mat drills, so we have to cut volume down because we run so much outside. And it's actually actually ends up being pretty similar to this, but different concepts. So the shift is, I don't want to run us a ton in phase 1. So we have 2 phases. We have phase 1 of the summer, we have phase 2 of the summer, alright? Our kind of main emphasis here is power output and strength, alright? More so leaning towards power output, but strength is a really massive emphasis, okay? We're still gonna condition but it's gonna be cut back. So, Pice, if I did this with power output, this with strength, and this with conditioning, what would happen?
Burnout, seeing this.
Burnout, we get injured, right? So phase one, since we know that we can pretty much 4 weeks we can get in elite shape, right? We know that. Okay. So our conditioning, we're gonna do all of our extensive tempos here, which is low. It's moderate to low intensity extensive tempos. It's 75% of max velocity. So it's pretty low to moderate intensities. Power output is massively emphasized, strength is massively emphasized, okay? So this is a 5-week phase here. Like I said, there's tons and tons of research out there, really, that it only takes 2 weeks to really massively change the aerobic capacity. We're training it this whole time. We're just not necessarily emphasizing it. So we come back with a 3-week phase left in week 2. What's my shift, Harris?
Goes into, more sport specific, higher velocity running,
So my power output kind of does what?
evens off.
Evens off a little. My strength kind of does what?
Yeah, same.
Evens off a little bit. But where do we have to increase the volume?
Conditioning,
Why?
because we gotta get them ready for camp.
For this, right? For those first 4 days, all right? So this is when we really get into our intensive tempos and really above that. This is all our 6 seconds on, 29 seconds off work, okay? We're working up to 2,400 yards for the skills, 1,600 yards for the mids, 1,200 yards for the bigs. 1,200 yards for the bigs. So these are the volumes that we're working up to prep them for this. And this is what that average position group will run in a football game. So we have to work them up to those insanely high volumes. These volumes are so high that if we were to continue to really train the shit out of power output and strength and do this, what's gonna happen in our coffee cup? It's gonna overflow, okay? So that's what we're talking about. We talk about the shift, that's really preservation of the coffee cup. We can't overflow the coffee cup, okay? And that's what we're thinking about. Now, this is the part where what I'd love to do is I'd love to get rid of this, I'd love to run 2 phases of extensive tempos. I'd love to be able to just really emphasize weight room and really work power output and amazing plyometrics and high intensity and very heavy maximal strength training. But what I've noticed, if you refuse to back off anywhere, you overflow, you get injuries, especially with the kind of athletes we have here at Akron. They just can't handle all of it. So you have to have this shift. You have to take that into consideration. You cannot just blow them up everywhere, right? What else? Anything else we can think of? I mean, that's a hell of a list. I mean, that's about it. I think those are the shift was the last one I really wanted to harp on, which is massively important to do because I just don't think people do it, and especially if you try to. I think this has got to be emphasized too. I think there's a lot of coaches that for whatever reason are really scared to reload guys, and they think that it's summertime we got to be grinding all the time, and they don't spend nearly enough time on that.
Well, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Well, I was just with our reload. Maybe it's some people actually program the reload, but we take those 5 weeks and really get after it to where once that reload happens, we just tell them to get off their feet.
Well, we do. Well, they do. We send them home with a little reload workout, but I would bet you 7 guys on our team probably actually do it. I think probably for us especially, the other big consideration we do really in the second, and we do this year round, but where we're really is recovery. We're really hitting home recovery in summertime, and we have to do that, right? Because we're trying to dissipate fatigue, and we know we're accumulating it. The nice thing about summertime is what's pretty lax for them. Class. Class is pretty lax, which is really good for us. It takes out one massive stressor they're normally used to having. They don't have classes until freaking late in the afternoon. They have no practice to worry about. The football coaches aren't around, which is another de-stressor. So those are all really good things that help out a lot. Anything else that I'm missing, guys? You guys can think of? Or anything specific at the high school level, Green, you could think of to add?
No, we talked about this, but we didn't really talk about too much of what we do with our bigs, and I think for high school, what we do with our bigs will be more equivalent to what they would be what most high school coaches would want to hear.
Yeah. I mean,
thought process behind that.
I think those considerations need to be done year round. Now, I think this is where it really needs to be hit home in the summertime, just because we don't do that in the winter. But I mean, our goal is always, when you think about bigs, they're huge, they're massive human beings. Do they need to produce power? Absolutely. But do they need to do box drops and depth jumps to do so? That absolute force and inertia is just astronomical compared to a smaller guy. So, am I afraid to jump bigs? You jump bigs all the time. Am I afraid to land bigs?
Yes.
A little bit. That's where I want to deload it. So, to me, box jumps are great for bigs. Why? It gets rid of inertial force, right? There's no, they land at the top end of the movement, so I'm cool with that. We do a lot of jumps onto what?
Mats.
Pole vault mats, right? It's a great way to deload them. When we talk about running, we talk about conditioning. Do they need to run 110-yard sprints?
No.
Do they need to run 300-yard shuttles?
No.
They do not. So what do?
Push sleds.
We push sleds, right? How position specific is that compared to anything? We'll drag sleds, we'll push prowlers, and that's a big consideration. But more or less, the easiest I can explain it for people watching is the further away you get from the ball, the more you need to run. The closer you are to that ball, the more you need to lift more. So, you know, our bigs on our mids, you know, you'll see our bigs have the highest weight room volume as far as overall tonnage move. They will lift more than any other position we have. Okay, then you'll see our mids are kind of in that transitionary phase where they'll lift more accelerative strength, they'll do a little more lifting, and then our skills, they're the least amount of jumping. Our skills are the most what? Most amount of jumping. They're the most amount of sprinting. They have the highest volumes. Our bigs have the least amount of jumping, the least amount of volume running, and our mids are somewhere in between, right? So I think those positional considerations need to be done year round, not just summer. But I think that's a huge piece of it, Green, especially the conditioning. Because I mean, you know probably better than any of us because you've been around high school programs more than we have. But high school coaches get them out there, and they're all running. Bigs are running 100-yard TJ. We should keep running a lot of high school programs.
So, yeah, like with my high school guys, because we had a pretty big basketball program. So I mean, we had so many dudes in AAU that they were always like Florida, Texas, California, Nevada. So like they were always on the go. So I kind of had to set those dudes on a different kind of program. Plus, we had a lot of guys going to camps. And I tried to encourage those dudes to go to as many camps as possible because it's them learning football.
Right.
And I also didn't want to make it like, oh, I gotta go to the weight room today. Like, no, we're gonna have some fun, but I also programmed around that. We're doing some explosive movements, and I had to taper off like at the end of the week because every weekend they were going to camps.
Yeah, not to mention the stress of that too.
Yeah, so I mean, you're ultimately trying to earn a scholarship. So, and you're traveling, all that other stuff, and they're staying up till like 2 o'clock in the mornings. We had afternoon lifts though, so I really didn't have to worry about them not having as much sleep because a lot of them got to sleep in. But also a lot of them had summer jobs because they had to earn money.
Right.
So, I mean, a lot with high school guys is don't put a bunch of pressure on them to really like harp on them and get them in the weight room because they're doing so much stuff outside they're always playing basketball. They're always doing something, but we had a 3-day split where Tuesdays and Thursdays, like we needed to learn our place, so we ran 7-on-7s and did some inside drill stuff with them. I mean, it was a lot of just player run practice, but I mean, they did 7-on-7s on the weekends, and that was like scheduled competition because there was a bunch of camps that would do like 7-on-7s with 3 or 4 teams, so they were always competing against other teams and not just themselves. So,
And we talk about getting our guys ready for camp. And, you know, we look at the total volume that the guys have to go through coming into the first 4 days. On the high school level, going back to what TJ was talking about with them doing so much and going to AAU and different camps. When I was working high school, I had a specific, like a set volume that I wanted to make sure I got in. And had a set volume for the bigs, mids, and skills, and we had with how we were set up, we were a morning team and we ran the same days we lifted, so it kind of went back and forth with it as well. So to kind of be able to set something up to where you can have a set volume and know what you're going to do going into it, and that you're not going to go over with those high school kids because they're doing so much was a big plus as well.
Right.
Plus, like, a lot of those dudes, I mean, high schoolers are really amateurs. I mean, they're just, like, first time in the weight room, so you're teaching them new movements anyways. And you have guys that are just finishing middle school coming to the high school, so you kind of have to take time and reteach a lot of movements, which is great because it allows you to reset some movement patterns of some guys that maybe didn't get it during the winter. And then those guys are in and out so much. Like, I really never ran like a true reload because I never had to, because dudes were always in and out. So they weren't hitting like 4 weeks straight or 3 weeks straight, like on vacations, going to different camps. Like some people were going on like 3 or 4 camps in a week, so I wouldn't even see them. So then I'd be like, okay, let's pop back into some high reps for you. So I kind of like split it off like, hey, you guys that have been here continuously, we're going to do this. Hey, you guys that haven't really been here, but you kind of know the gist, you're going to do this. Our younger guys, I was fortunate enough to have an intern where he got to run a little bit of the warm-up and did some of our biomechanics. So they did that, and then they would come into the weight room so I could focus more on their weight room stuff. So it's ultimately what kind of staff you have, who you have coming in and out of your weight room, how big your team is, and how much of the off-season or how much recruiting they're going to go through too. Because we also had schools in there every week where we did a lot of agility stuff where I didn't have to teach the agility stuff later in the summer, so that they can go through camps with like their pro agility and their 40 stances, because we were doing that in front of coaches during the winter. So
Green, talk a little bit about like your no excuse policy for people who say they don't have a budget and getting things done in the weight room.
There's always different things that you can find out, and just being creative. I remember I went to a conference. I think it was Juniata, and I think we were just sitting around talking shop, and someone was telling me all the stuff that they were doing, and started talking about fat grips. And I was like, oh, well, we don't have fat grips. And he was like, yeah, you do. You go swimming? I was like, yeah, you go swimming. He was like, all you got to do is just get a noodle and cut the noodle up, and we have your fat grips. And then that one conversation sparked a whole, sparked something for just coming up with different things, where it be coming up with sleds, like making sleds with tires. Being in Youngstown, there were different shipyards around and different old factories that had beat up chains. So we'll have chains for the weight room. We had the fat grips. You learn about slosh pipes. You learn to build your own sled with wood. You just go to different construction sites, and all the stuff that they're throwing out is free pickup because it's in the trash. So you just take it, go to Home Depot, get some nails, get some screws, and you just put the stuff together. The biggest thing when it comes to training kids and training adolescents is the biggest portion is they have to play. So if you keep it interesting, they're always going to come back, and they're always going to keep training because they don't know what's coming next.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I try to do. I try to give them something that they didn't have, keep it fun, and then they go out and they see everything that their friends are doing. They sit watch the YouTube videos, but then you give it kind of like that dungeon feeling. It's like, oh man, we're training hard as shit, and kids want to train hard, kids want to be coached, and kids want to be taught. And if you keep it interesting, there should be no limitations on any high school or lower the division program in the country. You should always be able to do what you want to do. You just have to find a way to get it done, and then go wholeheartedly for it. So
plus, like, how many racks did you have?
I had we had 3 box racks, so just 3 metal boxes for our squat racks that were donated by the jail facility down the street, and we had 4 bench presses donated by the jail facility. And at one point in time, I would have 50 kids in that one weight room. And I had dots spray painted on the floor. I had ladders spray painted on the floor. I was lucky enough to have an assistant, so we broke it up to one week the mids will be working with the bigs, and the mids and bigs will be in the weight room first, skills out in the field first, and then we would flip it the following week where the mids will be with the skills, because our mids play both sides of the ball because we're a smaller school. But then our guys we had sleds, we had prowlers, we had slosh pipes, we had chains, we had a cross country field around right around the area, and then it got the community involved as well, to where at the end of the summer there was this local diner that donated breakfast. So what we would do is we would do like a little short run over there and help them out. Like I'll take a couple kids over there to help them out, clean stuff out. That was the community service, but that was also their workout because they had to run or walk after our lifting session to the diner to do their community service and run and walk back, and it was great because it got us recognition. We did well that year, so.
Like I had 2 squat racks, a couple flat benches, and then a couple dumbbell benches and dumbbells. So I used boxes and dumbbells for goblet squats, but I sent my younger guys to do the goblet squats as like a squat prep kind of thing. But I took like my impact guys, like they went through like our high CNS stuff, so like they did their Olympic variation, which we did jammers and jumps. We didn't do an Olympic because I couldn't teach 60 dudes at one time how to do an Olympic lift, but it was also very beneficial for those dudes to actually learn how to jump. And they did vertical jump and their broad jump, which that was enough power output for them anyways. And then they would go into their bench and their squat, but ultimately how they rotated through really like set them up for each movement, because it was more of a prep or a learning phase instead of like I'm not getting to do my Olympic first. Yeah, but I focused on their squat and their bench, and then the other coaches were able to coach their accessories. But that was more of a help to me because I got to focus on the big 3 instead.
Yeah, and my big 3, we didn't even Olympic lift because I would have some 8th graders that were coming into freshmen that didn't need to, but you want to talk about utilizing what you had. You know, the cafeteria would have milk crates, and we didn't have dumbbells. So for our carries, we loaded up milk crates, but that's also what we use for our box squats. And you want to talk about not crushing the box when you sit down on it. You know, it was a perfect teaching tool for those guys. So you just have to utilize what you have, utilize the space, and know at the end, know what your goal is at the end of the year, end of the summer.
No, yeah, more or less I wanted to be very general about this, and I just think as you look into a program, I think sometimes you can get lost in the details. So I think when you can sit back and kind of generally understand that these are the things for summer conditioning I have to consider, I think it helps a lot. So anybody watching, if you guys want us to dive in any more specifically, or any bulletproofs more specifically, and you want to see more details, it's good, but I know everybody has their own individualized programs, and I get that. But I think that these are what we talk about as our principles. You know what I mean? It's not one specific aspect. These are principles and things you have to understand that this can be applied to any program. You need to take camp into consideration, whether you're us or Ohio State. You know, your sports specific stuff, your team building. I mean, every point here generally needs to be considered, whether you're at the high school, middle school, collegiate, whatever it may be. So I wanted to be general, and I think we did a great job of kind of laying that out. So good job, guys, coming up with the considerations. And I was going to just map it out first, and it's crazy. You guys, Harris, you nailed that 6th one. I had 6 written down, and those were the 6. I think I kind of manipulated that one, but pretty good, guys. Good? Anything else to add?
Good.
Appreciate you guys watching. See you next time.